Hey y'all, welcome to the Can't Focus podcast, where it's about to get real. We'll be having honest conversations about what it really takes to grow online in the Western space. This show is all about the behind the scenes of content creation, how to grow your business, open doors, and build a community that helps you stand out in a world that doesn't always understand what we do. Whether you're in the arena, behind the camera, on the ranch, or just trying to figure out how to turn your passion into something bigger, you're in the right place. Fair warning, we're going to ramble, we're going to overshare, because we definitely can't focus. Let's get into it.
Welcome to another episode of the Can't Focus podcast with
Kate and Elizabeth.
Thank you. We got it right this time.
We did. Yeah, got it in order.
We are still here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming on a trip for Happy Cow Vodka. And so we have got the founder and owner of Happy Cow Vodka with us today that we are going to talk to about a little bit of his background, why we're here, what was your inspiration for this, and a little bit of your social media background as well. So here we are with J.W. Phillips, who has many aliases. So what are we going by today?
You've had a lot of names.
Oh, gosh. I know. I usually just tell people
Mic
call
up.
me Hey You.
Mic up. There we
Mic
go.
up. We're going to be in this area.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I am J.W. Phillips. So in the military, everybody called me Phil because my last name is Phillips. But as of late, it has just become J.W. or J.W. as Brandon calls me. But yeah, really Hey You is fine. But my family calls me James.
Oh.
And my school bus call me Jimmy. So it's really whatever.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
He's
my
just
school bus
answering
driver
everything.
told me that I wasn't James. I was Jimmy until I was a man. So
Wow.
hopefully I'm James now.
Okay.
But we're all right.
We'll have to find the bus driver.
Yeah, we will.
Hey.
We'll get them on the podcast too.
But yeah, thank you both for being here in Jackson. We're excited to shoot tomorrow. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back
great.
it up before this weekend because you just mentioned a military background. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I got out of the service end of 2019. I was in the regular Marine Corps and then special operations. And when I got out, I moved to Utah. And then Utah got wild and crazy during COVID. And I had just gotten into horses. So we ended up moving to Idaho. So we're in Idaho now. But
So who's we?
my wife and I and our now 2 daughters.
And how old are the girls?
Margot is 4 and Maisie is 1. So we have our hands full right
Yeah.
now. But
Cool.
it's good.
So you have these 2 young kids and you think this is the perfect time to launch something new.
Yeah, I if not now, when? Somebody told me that, and I think that's what we're kind of running with. But I am definitely not the brains behind the operation. It is all my brilliant wife. I convinced her to get a milk cow when we moved in to our place a little over 4 years ago because I just took her to get raw milk ice cream like every weekend. So for all those guys out there that want to get their wife a milk cow so they can have all the good scrumptious things, that's the gateway drug, I guess, is
Nice.
chickens and then raw ice cream. So
There you go.
so yeah, one thing led to another with the milk cow, and that's how we kind of eventually came to making vodka from milk. So it's big in Europe and the UK, and we wanted to bring it to the US market and claim it as American. So what better space than the Western space to do that? So Happy Cow Vodka. Actually, the letters of Happy Cow Vodka are legit old school ranch brands. So it kind of pays
Cool.
homage to the heritage there. But
Okay.
yeah, so it's kind of where we're at with that.
Right on. I have questions kind of just going back. You said you had just been getting into horses when you decided to make the move to Idaho. So are you like first generation
So I actually grew
rancher
up in
type? Tell me about that a little bit.
yeah, I actually grew up in England
Okay.
on a farm riding Shetland ponies.
Nice.
My mom took me to riding lessons because she did 3-day eventing instead of going to soccer practice. So I was that kid in tight pants with a riding helmet.
Nice.
So, but now I do the Western thing because this hat's way more cool and these pants are way looser. So I think we'll kind of stick to that. But yeah, I took like a 20-year hiatus and came back to horses. But horses was the best thing mentally for like PTSD and everything else when I got out, and kind of wrestling the inner me and kind of having that honest body language conversation. And I don't like to kind of do anything half cocked. So I didn't really, it's not like riding a bike. It does not come right back. So I had to learn how to do everything again and not look like a dummy. So after my old ranch horse took me back to the barn too many times, I had to level up. So it's kind of led to starting my own colts and training outside horses and making bridle horses. And this year I'm going to be competing in some of that. So
right on.
Yeah. It's
very cool.
Been a bit of a journey, but it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So you touched on the mental health aspect, and I think one of the first things I've seen of yours on Instagram, you've created a very great space for military people, cowboys, talking about mental health. So I'm seeing that now, but as you've been on your social media journey, can you talk a little bit about what made you want to get on Instagram? What has been some of the biggest things for your growth, and where do you want to take this moving forward?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, social media is a blessing and a curse. And for a lot of time, in special operations, you can't have social media for deployment windows. So I'd always have to delete it. And then after 7 months, make another one if I wanted to. So it was mostly a hassle, which I just didn't have for a while. So when I first got out, I kind of resurrected an old one. Really kind of just network and stay in touch with people I knew, and I think a lot of people use social media the wrong way kind of thing. I think it's a huge opportunity for networking and marketing. And you should look at it as a tool and not some self-highlight reel, So really, I think there's a lot of filters. Filters is a great word, I guess, of what people legitimately are on social media. So for me, for my page, I really try to be authentic and have real conversation about where I am. I do some nonprofit work with veterans, and the conversation is always the same in the room. I thought I was the only one. So I think, what are we here on this earth if it's not to help one another? So if we're having honest conversations about where we are in life, what we've gone through, where we're trying to go, and what we're struggling with, we can only kind of form community. And I think that's really what social media should be, is a networking opportunity, a support community, and somewhere to grow and work together in that. So I appreciate you seeing that, because I kind of try to just have that honest conversation without kind of spelling it out for everybody, by just kind of being authentic. But as far as growth goes, I think, man, social media is so love-hate because the algorithm changes all the freaking time. So unless you're plugged into it to recognize the changes or the trends, you're going to kind of miss some of that stuff. But at the same time, I'm always torn between real life and social media. So I do a whole lot more stuff than I put on that highlight reel, and I think it's super important mental health-wise to remember that is kind of fake world, you know what I mean? And so the goodness that comes of it is I can bring all these awesome people together, and we can create something rad together as one, and we all bring such diverse skill sets to the table, and we can all be excited about the same thing, which is the Western culture, and paying homage to it, and tradition and value and the community and family and all these things we love about the Western world. But I think at the same time, it can really suck your life up too if you let it. So I think there's a balance there between likes and follows and just being you. I think being you and being real and having that connection is far better than any stupid viral reel you can do.
Agree.
So that's kind of my rule of thumb. If I have people reach out, and I think we kind of talked about this, the bigger my account's gotten, there's more and more reach out, right? So to respect my priority of authenticity, I always ask, well, what's your purpose for your social media? Why do you have your social media? oh, well, I want to get into this and I think it's cool and I want to kind of show it. Okay, so you want to have social media because it's cool. That doesn't survive first contact with me. It should be deeper than that. If you're really thinking about investing in yourself, what's your marketing plan? Who are you? What do you stand for? You know, who are you trying to surround yourself with? What are you trying to get to? Those are all great questions to answer on your social media because it's a representation of the self. And it should be a representation of the true self, right? So, yeah, that's just kind of Phil thoughts on social media. But what else you got?
Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm curious about, I mean, obviously, like, we all start with nothing on social media platforms. There's a lot of growth that has to happen. At what point did you go, hey, people are kind of like tuning into this and are enjoying it? Like, when did kind of a switch a flip?
You're asking the wrong. I get all of my
when did you recognize, like, people are gravitating toward this and I can really do some good?
Yeah, so early on, my social media was really tailored to military. So, I mean, I've had a hard time with it getting out, right? Like, I kind of really rejected the past life. I don't ever want to be that high school quarterback with a Letterman jacket that talks about stuff 20 years ago, you know? That's just not how I kind of roll. So, but a long time ago, all my follows was because I was a special operations guy. Which is cool. You know, I got to mentor a lot of young guys that were looking at the military, and that was kind of, I saw that as a great purpose for social media, is that mentorship. But as that kind of morphed into my life and sharing more of my life and the horses and the ranching and the lessons learned and being a first generation rancher and trying to build the empire and Happy Cow Vodka and all these things and being a daddy and, you know, I think now I see it as a bigger opportunity to mentor. You know, as a young boy without a father figure, I had so many questions. But social media now is such an option to, like, you get celebrity world is like untouchables, right? They're so out of touch with reality. Social media, I think for now, people are still so accessible.
Yeah.
You can just DM somebody, and if they got the time of day to just write you back or give you their 2 cents and, you know, give you a lessons learned. I use it for a lot of mentorship, you know, and I talk to a lot of guys on there that train horses. I talk to a lot of people on there that do the big loop roping, and I've been able to network and build relationships with people that, man, 100 years ago or whatever, or 37 years ago when I was born, you know, you wouldn't have been able to do that.
Right.
You have to write a letter.
Right.
So,
can't just reach out and get an answer.
So I think the more it grows, the more I kind of see the responsibility to give back and to be accessible. But also, I think you got to remember where he came from and that it's not real life. I think a lot of people can get really wrapped up in social media and the following and then start demanding things and just, man.
Would you like to say who's doing that? Or
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Anybody that comes to mind there?
But then you don't become any better than Britney Spears. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
some people like Britney Spears. It's all good.
Why are we bringing Brittany into this?
I also can't stop thinking about.
It's probably because Kelson cut his hair.
That's
I
Free
am
Brittany.
probably.
Yeah.
Free Kelson.
I thought you were going to start laughing or say something when he said being a daddy. You were holding it together.
Listen, I did so well. Why are we calling that out?
Sorry.
Because I was like,
Because it's in my brain now.
Daddy takes on a whole new meaning.
stop. Just stop saying it.
I believe it.
Respectfully.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think, yeah, I'm privileged to be a part of social media. I'm definitely privileged to be a part of the Western space. And that's what I'm passionate about. And that's really what my life is encompassed in, I think. But the big takeaway, I think, for me now, and what I'll kind of close with is, with great power comes great responsibility. If you're going to represent a space that you're new to, you know, I came into the Western space 5 years ago, and I knew I needed to pay my dues.
Sure.
I was a guy running to get in the gate. I trained my first stock dog to get my first belt buckle. Like, I had to establish myself in that space, you know, and I still try to gain respect and establish myself in that space and remain humble of where I've come from, you know, and I think, but by participating in that space, I think you hold the responsibility of being authentic to it and paying respect to it and understanding the traditions and educating yourself. And all those things, and then just basically being a good steward of it.
Yeah.
No matter what platform that's on. But yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your thought process on this weekend? And because I think, you're launching this brand, you've had to put this crew together.
Yeah, questionable crew now.
Based off of this podcast. It's not me. It's me. But it's fine. I know my role. But everybody else.
Vision kind of thing. Well, honestly, Maddie and I came up with this whole, lack of a better term, influencer, mashup for our marketing entity, 6-8 months ago. And I really wanted to find the right people. It didn't necessarily have to be the biggest followings. It didn't have to be all these things. It just needed to be the right people, and the right people for all the right reasons. And I think I'm so excited about this weekend because we got this podcast. We got you two wonderful human beings. We got Kelson. Kelson's a Cinderella story in himself. The dude
Incredible.
was selling ice cream, you know what I mean? And now he's the videographer for Legacy Rodeo. And Skylar's a self-made cowboy in 5 years. Bree trains her own horses and rides in the backcountry. We got all these great individuals that have been able to come together. We got Wild Wagon Saloon. We got Haley with her hat company. We got all this cool connectivity, and so I just think it's a really good mashup of small business, good humans, and vodka. So
what could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd like to say, you said influencers, and I think sometimes people have a negative connotation with that, but we met with the crew today. Everyone, with the exception of me, is a true cowboy or cowgirl in their own right.
Yeah.
And so it's not just a pretty face or somebody with a big following, like you said. Nobody's
going to be sitting on a horse pretending they know how to ride. Everybody.
No, they are riding through. We went through some of the shot lists today, and you got to know how to ride a horse for this.
I'll make sure the cameras are rolling early when they're all feeling real fresh.
Yeah.
It'll
be a little froggy in the morning maybe, but we'll see. But that's why we picked the people we picked, But yeah, I think influencer gets a negative connotation when Connotation. There you go. When you're not using your platform for all the right reasons. I think when it becomes an ego-driven thing, I think that's when that can get a bad rap, right? Sure. But I think if you're doing your best to be authentic and you're doing your best to, help people or provide a value or whatever else, I can get behind that. You know what I mean? I think you're influencing the right things. But I think when it's ego-driven and things, then it's probably where it gets questionable. But that's with all things, right? So,
yeah, I think it's cool to just having seen a lot of everybody on their pages, seeing their content and going, wow, these look like really cool people. And then now meeting them and going, yes, actually, these are really cool people.
Yeah, but they're also just people.
Right.
But they're just good people.
They're just good people that put out really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Really cool, meaningful stuff.
And I'm thankful to all of you because nobody actually knew me, right?
Sure. Yeah.
This is a leap of faith that you wanted to come be a part of something and that I'm actually a good dude, right? And this is actually going to be a cool product, right? Yeah. So, Skylar drove, you flew out here. Skylar drove from New Mexico.
Wild.
Bree drove 7 hours today with her own horse, it means a lot, but it also takes a lot of faith too in the platform, in the person, in what you're actually creating and influencing.
But I think that goes back to the authenticity piece of it though, is because you put so much candid stuff out there. I felt like I knew you. So already, and I knew what your values were about, and so it's easy to want to be a part of something like that and get on the plane and book the flight to come be a part of something because I just saw this as such a wonderful thing to be a part of in any capacity, and to be able to meet all of these wonderful people in person was just an extraordinary opportunity that I didn't want to miss out on. So
Yeah.
thank you for inviting me.
That's
I
right.
would have had serious FOMO.
Well, I mean, that's the American dream, right? Good people, good product, and good times. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
What is something that has happened in your life that's been really impactful that has come about because of social media?
Gosh, honestly, everything. Social media has just provided so many opportunities for me to grow as a human being that has prepared me for what is ahead. You know, and that's as far as photography, marketing, networking, working for a brand, promoting a brand. And now I'm making, promoting, marketing, capturing, orchestrating my own brand, you know? And so, yeah, everything, I guess.
That is the dream.
Well, I think I can speak for Kate and I when I say thank you for letting us be a part of this journey. It's going to be a huge success, and this is just the beginning for you.
Yeah. Can't wait. I cannot wait to see what Kelson does with all this footage. I can't
What
wait
you
to
do.
get the footage.
Well, we all do.
Oh man.
Group effort.
It's going to be so cool.
It's going to be good. And hopefully in a year from now, we might be back here or somewhere else doing the second launch, second shoot of this. And it's going to be a huge success. And we appreciate you coming on and talking with us.
Thank you both.
Cut.
Mic drop.
You cannot drop the mics. Thanks for sticking around. If you made it this far, you're officially part of the crew. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at can'tfocus.podcast for behind the scenes content, updates, and plenty of outtakes we probably shouldn't be posting. If you're interested in more rodeo western content, follow our personal accounts at Slick Fork Films for Kate and at Elizabeth Single Social for Elizabeth. Catch you next time.